big debate that has been going on since I've been in school is the public school uniform policy. I can remember when I was younger, I was in about fifth grade at the time, and there was a letter that went out to all the parents that said, "Hey, would you have a problem against implementing school uniforms?" Of course, everyone shot it down. However, while thinking about this, I thought about how beneficial uniforms can be. Not only, and I can show you through statistics that overall crime has decreased, grades have improved, and there have been many cities and stuff and different. There have been many cities that have implemented the school uniform policy for their public schools, and it has shown as a great improvement. I would also like to share my personal experiences with wearing a school uniform as opposed to wearing whatever I wanted from a public school to wearing a school uniform in Catholic school. Through statistics, I will show you how a uniform policy will be very beneficial to the kids. A big problem that has been growing in our schools is the gang influence. Now, gangs, what they'll do is that they will wear their certain colors or that represents their gang, wear those to school, and then we'll see another individual who's wearing the rival gang's colors, and those two will butt heads, and that's where school violence will come into play. Overall killings and shootings at school happen because of gang violence. According to educationbug.org, and if you look at my PowerPoint presentation, I can show you why crime has decreased. Overall, school suspensions have decreased to about 90%. Sex offenses have decreased to 96%. Incidences involving vandalism have decreased to about 69%, and overall crime rate has decreased to 91%. That is why a big part of why we should implement public school uniforms can be very beneficial is the overall crime rate that happens during school. Another big part is the overall success in the classroom with having school uniforms. From personal experience, as I'll explain later, from when I was in public school, I was receiving about a 2.2 GPA, and then when I switched to Catholic school, I think a big reason was because I was wearing a school uniform was because I received a 3.7 GPA. I think a big reason was because I wasn't worrying about what I was wearing the next day, as opposed to what I was wearing the next day, and not concentrating on the next test or anything like that. The last reason is how many cities have been implemented of school uniform. Also, according to educationbug.org, if you look at my reference, you can see that New Orleans, about 95% of the public schools there have implemented a school uniform policy. About 82% of Cleveland have implemented. Chicago has about 80%. Boston about 62%. Miami about 60%, and Cincinnati about 50% of the public schools have implemented a school policy. This is not something that's new. It has always shown, and it has shown through statistics that, like I said, overall crime rate has decreased, grades have improved, and it's widespreading and growing as we speak. As I mentioned earlier, I would like to share my personal experiences with having a uniform rather than wearing a public school uniform, rather than wearing a whatever I wanted day, to rather wearing a public uniform for school. When I was in elementary school, it really didn't matter to me what kind of fashion or different stuff I was wearing, because basically my mom said, "Hey, throw a shirt on, here your pants." Off to school I went. It didn't really happen until I was about in seventh grade when I noticed that everyone was wearing designer type brands, and I needed to have that. However, unfortunately, my parents did not have that type of money. They couldn't afford. They could only afford so much of those designer brand clothes, and I wanted to have more of it. So I decided to get a job. And even that, I was a paper boy. That measly money as being a paper boy, I couldn't afford that. And I struggled with this through high school, and it spilled over into when I was in high school. I began to think, so was self-conscious of what my peers thought about me because of the clothes I wore on my back. And as well as that, I also was thinking, why can't my parents afford the same? Why can't my parents afford to buy these different types of clothes for me when you have other parents? Rather than worrying about that, I was distracted in the classroom. That's why I received a 2.2 GPA. It wasn't until about my junior year of high school where I decided to switch schools, transfer schools, and I transferred to a Catholic school where they implemented a uniform policy. Uniform policy was probably my greatest. In high school, it was probably the most awesome what happened. A lot of my public school friends who asked me, well, how do you like to wear the uniform? I said, I don't mind it because I know what I'm wearing, not only for tomorrow, not for the next day, not for the next week, not for the next month. I know what I'm wearing for the entire year. I didn't have to worry about what else was going on, and that helped me concentrate more on my studies and raise my GPA to about 3.7. As well as I wasn't very self-conscious about myself because I made more real friends when I was at the Catholic school because they didn't care. I didn't look down upon someone what they're wearing because they were wearing the same thing as me, and they didn't look down upon me because I was wearing the same thing as they were. In conclusion, I'd like to say why uniforms need to be positive. Overall, crime has decreased. Overall grades have improved, and different schools are using them. An army without a uniform is not an army. Other than that, it promotes discipline and equality among people, and diminishes self-consciousness about what other peers think about that. As I said before, overall crime has decreased, grades have improved, and many cities are thinking about implementing school uniforms.